Hello and welcome to the second series of the SubscriptionX podcast in association with Chargebee. Yet again, we're back live at the Spring Retail Festival to record this very special limited edition podcast series. I'm Katie Searles, editor of Internet Retailing, and I'll be joined by experts from the retail and subscription economy for a look at everything from getting the price right to the importance of advancing technology. For the second season running, this podcast is brought to you in partnership with Chargebee, and I'm delighted to introduce my co-host, Rabie. Rabie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what Chargebee do in the subscription space?
Yeah, sure, Katie. So, hey everyone, my name is Rabie. I work at Chargebee for more than 4 years and a half, so I think I would call myself a dinosaur in terms of employee history at Chargebee here in Europe. So I started first working as solution consultant, so helping our prospect and customer find the right solution with Chargebee. And then I moved recently to marketing. So look, this is a little bit of myself and my journey at Chargebee. And Chargebee is a revenue growth management solution that will have 4 pillars. The first one is all around billing. What we call billing is managing your subscription, your plans, your pricing. We have a second layer is around CPQ. It's around like building quotes for sales and helping them convert those quotes to winning opportunities. The third pillar is around revenue recognition, RevRec. Is helping the finance team unburden themselves with the Excel sheet and make sure their journal entry reports are accurate at the end of the month. And last but not least, it's important, is retention, is help retain your customer from churning.
Excellent. One of the great things about recording live at the Spring Retail Festival is that we can borrow speakers from other streams, and we've done exactly that. Digital Marketing Evolution is an event that's running at the same time as the subscription stream, and we're joined by Mohsen from Kingfisher, who is the retail powerhouse behind B&Q, Screwfix and Castorama, and you are Group AI Director, which is a great title. Do you want to tell us more?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, as you mentioned, we are an international home improvement company. So I've been very lucky to join the company because I love DIY, but also I love AI. And combining this, I think is a quite an interesting mix. So we are here. We are very excited to use AI to offer, home improvement product and services to our customer to the best of, our knowledge.
We could probably do a whole separate podcast on our DIY adventures.
Yeah. Especially I'm French, so I know Castorama very well. so yeah, it's one of the the brands that I like to go when I have something to do at home, and it's like, hey, can you help me with this? Because I don't know how to do it myself.
And actually, Casto has done some incredible things with AI in France. You've launched a product, AI powered, to provide sort of video instructions for people doing little projects?
Exactly. And as you mentioned, because that was one of the missing things, because when our customer go to our physical stores, especially Castorama, so you normally go there to help for advice, to ask, just look at ideas, you're looking for a specific problem that you want to solve. And previously, it was only possible in stores. So now with the help of AI, we release an AI agent. We call it Hello Casto, which you can do exactly that this time online, right? So you can describe your problem. For example, I want to tile my bathroom, I want to remove old wallpaper, and that tool can give you not only how you do this, but also the ingredient, the product you need, and also how to with different instruction.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Because for me, as an end customer, I always want to go to store to get the help. And now, with the help of the AI, I can do it from home. Instead of going to the shop, where you have 4 people, 5 people working in 200 square meters shops, and it's hey, I need to wait for my turn. For my turn here, it will remove the burden at all. And I'm just oh, hey, I have this problem. I have this water leakage or whatsoever. How do I repair it? And tell me what to buy, because I'm not a very handy man.
So next time try Hello Casto.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah.
And you make an interesting point there about being able to go to store and ask for advice. But, if you are slightly embarrassed by the fact that you don't know how to strip wallpaper or build flat pack furniture or do your latest inspirational product, you've got this in your hand at home. How important has that been in an omnichannel world to really adopting AI to to boost the customer experience, whether it's in store or online?
Yeah, so and we just been having a session around that, and is two things. It's about the different ways of connecting to your customer. So we already know we are moving, as we discussed originally, this problem is solved, is real. As you mentioned, that type of help and advice previously was only possible in a store. But with multi way of reaching the customer, I think having a consistent way of communicating the same message, supporting the customer is critical, right? So that's why this type of technology, especially for the new generation, so they may shop completely differently. Maybe the expectation is different. Maybe the older generation, they already know what they want, and the way that they tackle the search or commerce, search is different than the younger generation. They want to be more about the problem statement they want to solve. So it's critical, but it's not an option. I think it's the must. So I think every organization needs to actually think about a new way of connecting to the new generation of customers.
And that's such an interesting point. We've just launched the SubscriptionX report for 2025, and we saw the generational split. It's the younger cohort that are going for the subscriptions because perhaps they are tech savvy and they're looking for that innovation. There will be perhaps the older generation that have concerns around AI and have issues with it. What can businesses do, whether it's a subscription business or a retailer giant like yourself, to not re-educate, but really to help them understand the benefits?
Yeah, I mean, education needs to be there, right? It's a new technology like any other technology that come in. So first, there's a lot of nervousness to understand what that technology can do. So we also have responsibility how you apply that piece of technology. So it's not just dump that technology out there and just hope for the best that customer actually learn how to do it. I think building that, case study and demonstration around that is very, very important. The concern is real, depending on the application. Sometimes is like, as you mentioned, the older generation may feel that, that AI probably don't know everything or cannot do everything. As I mentioned, how you apply AI is more important than the actual core AI technology.
And for a retailer or a subscription business looking to deploy AI in their own operations, and we've spoke before, and you had this brilliant line about not having to reinvent the wheel, not having to build from scratch. Why do subscription companies or retailers sort of just looking for the right technology partner rather than from trying to do it themselves?
So, if you wanted to do this a few years ago or 10 years ago, maybe you've been in a different position. But these days, there are so many focus from different providers on modular design and building the key component and core component that you need to build almost any services, not necessarily AI. And the same way here, right? When we're talking about large language model, you don't have to build your large language model. You can just use them, right? So there are a few key providers that providing those technology. The question is how you can slice and dice and connect them. So, and the focus, I think, should be about your strategy and what problem you want to solve. And as soon as you come up with that strategy, I think finding the right component and plug it, and exactly the same way we do it with Kingfisher. So we just use the right technology and we put the orchestration layer on top to make sure, as we discussed, we just don't need to build everything, right? So, but you can orchestrate it in a way you want, which is very fine-tuned to your customer space.
Yeah, I would agree on that, because like when we see our merchants, our customers, they have a lot of challenges, and their challenges like how to be effective, and not so, as Mohsen said, maybe like 5 or 10 years ago, there will be like always the ask, we can build it ourselves, but there is always like build versus buy. It's always an equation, because like you will see here in the market a lot of solutions coming in that will solve one specific problem, and this specific problem they will solve it very well. If I take a couple of examples, like I'll take the support ticketing for example, or maybe a Chargebee pushing the right offer to retain customer from churning. It just we are solving one key problem. Instead of like saying like, hey, I will build it from scratch, I will take the right solution that will help me to solve. And the idea is like using agent AI and focus on the problem, while at the end you are serving the right experience to your customer, because If I take the example of support ticketing, so when the customer is having an issue, because like we have all this history on all from the previous conversation that are already existed, we can tap in it and put the right message before a human can interact. And this is what is powerful. And if I talk about Chargebee from our perspective and our retention product, what we do is just like understand the customer's behavior, what he's doing, what is he using the product as usual, does he log in, does he take value, and then take those signals to push the right offer to say like, hey, instead of leaving or canceling your subscription, I would love to offer you a month on us or a 50% discount or maybe a call with one of our experts. And this experience will give, like, first of all, the customer like, hey, I'm being listened to. I'm not like left alone with the service, and as well for our customers using our retention product to understand why customers are leaving and act on it.
And that's such a critical point at a time where consumer spending and consumer confidence is maybe low. Understanding your customer at such a granular level, whether it's a subscription firm or a DIY business. Is that something that Kingfisher have done? Have you used DI to really understand your consumer data and provide insights onto how they're shopping and if they're going to somewhere else, or if they, just how to get the most out of your consumer data?
Yeah, and as you mentioned, and as Rabie mentioned, is the key, is fundamental, right? So if you want to put something in front of your customer, it's critical for you to understand the need first. So, and we have massive amount of data, right, from the customer shopping behavior. We have different type of cohort. We have, even within DIY, we have trade professional that they do this as like the way of living, and both we also have more general DIYers that they do it as a hobby, right? So they need completely different understanding that segmentation, running some customer level personalization is fundamental, and we do this across our banners. Screwfix is really good at it, so we know our customer very well, for example, at the Screwfix, and same for B&Q. We try to understand the daily pattern of the customer, try to kind of identify the need. For example, we have a replenishment model at the moment we're working on, try to understand when a certain customer need a specific product and try to target them with the more relevant marketing messages. So I think personalization is a big theme, I think, across for most of organizations these days. The same for us at DIY industry.
Yeah, that's completely true. When we talk about like how to understand what the customer wants, we need to make sure that every experience, every touch point with your brand is relevant, and this is the right experience that you want to push. So like when we talk about the data is like the gold and and the nerve of every company that needs to focus. First of all, like we need to understand like how the customer is consuming your product, how they are interacting with you, and all of this data will help you try to do A/B testing to see like, hey, what type of offers, the experiences that we would like to push, so that based on this learning you can act and make sure that you are tailoring the experience. And it's not something that will be done in one single step or like every other week. It's something that you will be continuously doing, let's say, on a daily basis. And Condé Nast, our customer, who are speaking out to our Believe event in London last week, was saying that like there is no day where we're not testing, try to understand what works, what doesn't work for our customers. It's
such a interesting point, because it's almost like we're all in this together, learning as this technology advances so fast, and it's testing, it's learning, it's making mistakes, but sometimes I can imagine those are quite expensive mistakes. Is there any sort of key lessons you have learned when rolling out sort of AI and advanced technologies across the Kingfisher group?
And again, we've been very lucky to have a very switched on leadership, right? Because we have a very specific pillar, we call it Test and Learn with AI, which is supported by our group CEO as well, right? So we're reporting, and part of that idea here is try, right? I think it's not about failure, right? It's about you have to fail fast and cheap, right? And you're gonna fail at some point, but if you plan for that, I think that's the key. And especially for our Hello Casto, which was one of the first DIY assistant in the industry, right? When you launch something like that, you definitely, right, you're gonna fail at least ahead of everybody else to have such a success, right? And about the fact that, Rabie mentioned data is gold. So on that particular one, for example, yes, we faced so many different hurdles to launch it, but Hello Casto was live for the entire 2024. December 2023 went live. And what we have from Hello Casto is 150,000 conversation, which is recorded, which that data is gold, because before that, everybody talk about hype around AI and putting Gen AI in front of customer, but not a lot about the insight coming about running that experiment, let the customer interact with this type of agent and try to learn about, okay, how you can actually deploy it, that type of technology in the right way, right? So it's a lot of learning, but I think it's going to be continuous learning because this technology, keep evolving every day.
And Rabie, the hype around AI and Gen AI or like natural language models, there's a lot of talk. You can't come to a conference like this or sit on a podcast like this without AI being one of the key discussion points. Is there a chance that, in a similar way to the metaverse, it was all conversation and it was all exciting and then it kind of fizzled out? Can you see that with AI, or is it if you don't adopt it and you don't fail fast, you will sort of be left behind?
I think like that's if we talk about AI, of course it's the buzzword of 2025. Everyone is talking about AI, but down the line I think the key challenge is like how fast you adopt it. How fast you adopt it, how fast you think to solve your customer problem using AI, because like that's how you reach effectiveness. And if I see and talk about like customers or prospect that I met, they don't have the magic recipe. As Mohsen was saying, like, hey, like the first element is just like, hey, you need to start early. I need to sort of try to test and learn to make sure like you're heading to the right way. So there is no magic recipe for AI adoption, but what we see is just like how you incorporate AI and how you can act on the insight by using AI capabilities in your product, so that you say like, hey, I'm heading to the right direction, I'm bringing value to my customer. And this is what we're seeing, and we see a lot of companies now pop in out of the blue, focusing on one single problem and using AI agents to solve this problem. They are like 10 to 20, less than 20 employees, but they are already processing revenue like big scale up companies. So like this is like what they focus is like, hey, I have one problem and I will be good at solving this problem, and then I will sell it to my customers, because like they see the value that I bring by using AI. And hence, like what we saying earlier, it comes always to build versus buy, instead of like trying to build it yourself and using, let's say, the OpenAI APIs and try to build the model. Well, there are people that are good because they are data scientists. They know how to use AI and to leverage the capabilities to solve, let's say, any daily problem that any company may have. Like at Chargebee, we started like incorporating AI last year in our product, in our retention product, because we were like thinking like, hey, instead of giving the capacity to our customers to create themselves the offers, we would say like, hey, we will give the data to our product, and then our AI model will decide what to push, and then test and learn, and then like you will see what would work. And this is like what will be key for any company, is just how quick they adopt AI and how fast they learn from their mistake. There will be mistake. That nobody is perfect, and if someone tells you like, I've never made mistake, there is an issue.
And while nobody's perfect, it's such a great point about like the team of 20 using AI to really make their operations as efficient and streamlined as possible. When AI has the power to do that, to take on laborious, labour-intensive tasks and free up your teams for the more exciting innovation projects. Are you seeing that at Kingfisher?
Yeah, I mean, it's all over places. And just following up on Rabie, I think the one thing which is not a choice is, AI is going to be the key competitive advantage of any businesses in the next few years, right? So, and then how you use it is very important. As you mentioned, for example, at Kingfisher, we have a very complex business. So we have physical stores, we have online, we have back-end operation that helps with our marketplace, for example, supply chain. So it's fairly complex, and there are huge opportunities everywhere. And as you mentioned, for example, even in stores, if we can get AI into our stores and empowering our colleagues in the store to do some of the day-to-day tasks that free up their time to spend more time with customer. When Rabie mentioned going to a store with 4 or 5 customers in the a massive store, so those people are going to have more time to spend time with Rabie, right? To have a more that human touch, right, interaction. So in the same way, we just freeing up a time in our back-end operation, how we can do content moderation, how we can do demand forecasting, how we can do supply chain operation optimization, right? We have a flagship product around marketing and promo optimization, which is a massive and complex process within the e-commerce. So how you can AI to actually make sure there is the efficiency there, again, to allow our human intelligence to just spend in a more value task, right? So yeah, there are huge amount of opportunities. I think every businesses and our organization the same.
And for listeners who are perhaps not aware, how many SKUs do you have on your marketplace?
So that's growing, right? I was actually referring to that. I think in end of 2022, if you go to diy.com, you could see 55,000 product. Today that we're having this podcast, we have 1.5 million product live, and that number is growing fast. And this is only for B&Q, and you have to remember we're launching marketplace for all of our other banners as well. So Casto France having marketplace now, and Casto Poland is going to have it, right? And I think that number of SKUs is going to increase massively.
And the power of AI there is your content can be consistent and your messaging can be done, and it can be done automatically.
It's just impossible to go to that range. If you just think about an internal operation dealing with 55,000 internal product, going to 1.5 million, which is majority is third-party content. So the amount, we had to put processes. It wasn't exist before. We had to have content moderation. You have to check every single description, product images, many of those tasks that we had to do manually, which is almost impossible to do, right? Just manually and just throw human, at it. So yeah, it wasn't even possible to have that growth. And we have a content moderation that run, on a daily basis. Last year we scanned 28 million images just through our AI services, which is like, if you can think about the scale, right? As a human go 1 and just look at this image, it's just impossible, right?
And I was just imagine a big book with 1.5 billion. I go in and say, let me check that one. Okay, check. And then at a certain point you get lost.
It'd be a weapon. It'd be formidable. Back to the old days of catalogues, it's just physically impossible. To wrap up, a point from both of you, really from a subscription point of view and then from a retailer point of view, if we were to invite you back in a year's time and we're sitting here and we're discussing AI and what's happened, what do you think the sort of key takeaway would be? What would be our subject line in 2026 if we're discussing AI?
I think from my perspective, if I see myself in 2026, a lot of things would change. I would see a lot of changes, but I think that we will see more adoption of AI than today. Like today we are at the start and we are adopting and all the companies are focusing on it, but AI will be one of the habits that every company would have. That would have the adoption. It will if someone wants to build a business, he will think how I'm going to use AI to make sure that my operation will be efficient. So if I'm talking hey, I'm launching an e-commerce website or subscription, so hey, I'm going to use AI to automate all my customer support or to the order management, my supply chain. So all of that, it will be more a natural habit than something that we need to try and adopt.
Yeah, I can follow that, but I think one of the key topics of the next few years is going to be definitely agentic AI. I can see us talking about that, right? So we are very excited about that through our Athena platform, which is our agentic AI platform. So at the moment, a lot of hype around AI and Gen AI is about providing information through chatbots. But what's going to happen through agentic AI is those agents have a bit more power to take actions on behalf of both consumer, but also back-end operations. So in a very near future, you're going to get this AI agent tell you where is your order, or cancel the order, or place the order on your behalf. So there's going to be a lot of conversation about agent-to-agent protocol. So you get your, agent through, like, I don't know, Alexa or something like that, negotiate with DIY agent to find a good bathroom project, for example, in terms of price and the design. So I think these topics are not very far into future. I think we're going to have that very soon.
Thank you so very much for your insight and for joining us in this lovely booth. The SubscriptionX series will be available on internetretailing.net, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It will feature dedicated episodes on how we can learn from the publishing industry for subscriptions and customer lifetime value. But for now, thank you both and thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.